So usually on Saturdays I do a video about chicks, but this time I'm going to be talking about feds. Specifically about federal law enforcement people infiltrating and moving around in the dissident online movement. I consider myself a part of the dissident online movement, and I, for one, have definitely noticed an uptake in activity. Let me give you a little background first before I tell you what's been going on at least recently. So back in the day, back in 2008, 2010, I ran a financial blog. Yeah, and I wrote about financial stuff and crap. I did it for a few years and then I moved on to other stuff, right? But at first I did it for fun and the thing took off. By the end of it, I had something like 6-7 million views, which is very respectable for a financial blog. Anyway, the point was that I remember around 2011 or so, this guy started getting all friendly with me on emails and such, and I realized he was a federal law enforcement officer. He was with the Department of Homeland Security. Oh yeah. And you know how I found out? It was so easy and so funny, so trivial. Well, you see, I was using the Gmail, my Gmail account, on a web browser. And if you notice on Gmail, right, it highlights the name, the handle of the person, sometimes in different colors, because they're using a different email account. Or for instance, if it's an email from two different people, there'll be slightly different colors, right? And so I'd been having this interaction with this guy who seemed friendly enough, although he kept pushing me, asking me to give him advice, financial advice, which I wasn't doing because I've never been very clear about the rules specifically, but I do understand that it's kind of illegal for some random person to put himself up there as a financial advisor. Anyway, this guy kept pushing me to give him financial advice, and I'd basically say, no, I think, it's against the rules, and anyway, your situation is yours, and I'm just telling you what I'm doing or what I'm thinking insofar as my own portfolio is concerned, right? Anyway, one day, I'm looking at the email chain I've gotten from the guy, and I noticed that, his name appears in different colors for different emails. At first, I was a little bit confused, and so I sort of looked at the emails, because of course, Gmail just shows you the name, not the actual email. And I looked at the actual emails he had sent me, and the first ones had all come from some anonymous, perfectly normal email service. I think Yahoo or Hotmail, something like that. Not Gmail, but one of the others, right? But the fourth or fifth email he had sent me had come from his Department of Homeland Security account. Yeah, it said right there, dhs.gov. And the thing was, it was so damn funny, man. Because at first I was like, why the different email accounts? Because I didn't recognize dhs.gov for what it was, right? And then I'm like, oh, I bet I know what happened. Because it had happened to me that sometimes, you have some email program where you have multiple accounts and you accidentally sent out an email from another account that you're not supposed to. In fact, I recently did that with another online personality. I sent him an email that I intended to send it from my codetreadpill@gmail.com account, but I accidentally sent it to him from my actual personal account. And when I realized this, I emailed him again and I said, please, keep this personal email on the down low. And he was like, no problem. But see, I realized that is what had happened to this Department of Homeland Security agent because it had happened to me. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he just screwed up and he'd revealed himself, right? It was so funny. And then reading back the emails, I realized that this guy had been asking me to give him financial advice so that I would break the law, so that I would say something that would get me into trouble. And that wasn't the only thing that has happened to me personally. Back when I started the Coach Red Pill channel, there were 2 or 3 young women, very young, I'm talking teenagers, who got in touch with me. And it was very weird because it didn't make any sense. I mean, you guys have seen my content. I mean, why would some 15, 16-year-old girl want to be in touch with me? Come on. I mean, a 15, 16-year-old girl is not going to find me attractive. And, the topics that I discuss, man, come on. No 15-year-old girl is going to be interested in this shit. At best, she'll be horrified. But she'll certainly not want to be friends with me. Well, what the fuck you think was going on, motherfucker? And they were trying to, tempt me with some honeypot or some shit like that. And the funny thing is that actually, now that I'm talking about this, not only did this happen to me when I started this Coach Red Pill channel, but it happened to me back in 2010, 2011, when I had my financial blog. Yeah, some girl, you know, or somebody who claimed to be a girl, got in touch with me. And after a couple of emails, you know, I asked her, you know, how old are you? And she was like, oh, I'm 15. I'm like, you know, I'm not going to talk to you because there's no reason to. You know, you're a child. Go and talk to your parents. You know, some shit like that. Because, you know, the kind of blog post that I was doing was financial advice, right? But, you know, at the time, later, after this situation with this Department of Homeland Security guy, and now certainly, I realized that back in the day, they'd been tempting me with some sort of honeypot. And of course, the person on the other line was not some 15-year-old girl. It was some 40-year-old guy, probably overweight, with a shoulder holster, right, with a 38, you know, typing away, pecking away, one finger at a time, trying to entrap me. Yeah, that was what was going on, man. I've talked to some other online personalities, and a lot of them tell me similar stories. You know, very, very similar enough that, you know, we all get what's going on. See, whenever anybody gets a little bit big, they kind of try to entrap you. Yeah, that happens all the time. And, well, there was one guy who got seriously entrapped and mixed up in all kinds of insanity, which is a guy called Kurt Doolittle. Right now, this month, it's been 1 year since the whole proprietarian fiasco. Let me explain. See, over the last couple of years, 3 years maybe, this guy called Kurt Doolittle has been setting up something mostly on Facebook, and I'm not into Facebook. He's been setting up this thing called proprietarianism, which is some philosophy with, man, I'll tell you right now. I studied philosophy at Dartmouth, right? I was a double major, Russian history and philosophy. And in philosophy, I specialized in epistemology and formal logic. But I also did some coursework in Hegel. I actually read Philosophy of Right and understood most of it. I even read Phenomenology of Spirit, and I can say with some pride that I understood maybe a third of it. Yeah. But the thing is, see, the parts of it that I didn't understand, which was the other 2/3 of the fucking book, right? You know, I could sense that there were arguments. They were just way above my pay grade, but there were arguments, logical arguments. I mean, it made philosophical sense, logical sense, just at a higher level than I've been trained to at that time, right? But I read some of this proprietarianism shit that Kurt Doolittle wrote, man. It didn't make any sense. It was just a whole lot of words that basically described insanity as far as I was concerned. You know, I kept my opinion to myself because, see, I interacted with Kurt Doolittle a couple of times, and he seemed like a nice enough fella. But he was good friends with a guy called John Mark. Now, John Mark was a very interesting character. John Mark was a guy who sort of like came out of nowhere, and his channel, before you knew it, it had hit over 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, it just blew up. And, you know, his first 2 posts got hundreds of thousands of views. And the thing is, see, his posts were all about accelerationism. And he was openly talking about Civil War 2.0. Openly talking about civil violence on a platform like YouTube? Come on. What the fuck you think was going on, huh? The motherfucker was a Fed. Yeah, he was a plant. It didn't make any sense. His content was being pushed all over the platform and getting hundreds of thousands of views for something that flies right in the face of everything that YouTube is about. Or let me phrase that, flies in the face of all the censorship that YouTube is doing. I mean, I do a video about, you know, don't date a single mother, you know, and I get suspended, a warning, and all kinds of crap, right? And some guy is talking about accelerationism, you know, Civil War 2.0, yay team, you know, and shit like that. And not only is his content getting pushed around and put in front of a lot of eyeballs, but his channel is monetized, fully monetized. He's putting in ads all over the goddamn place. What the fuck you think is going on, motherfucker? The guy's a plant, the guy's a Fed. Whether Kurt Doolittle realized that John Mark was a Fed or not, who knows? But what I do know is that last year, in Richmond, Virginia, the proprietarianism movement had a little get-together in Richmond, man. It was just fucking embarrassing, and the whole fucking thing went right out the fucking window. The whole thing fucking blew up. I mean, Kurt Doolittle made an absolute fool of himself, and all the people who showed up, they doxed themselves. Yeah, because somebody started passing around a clipboard and asked to put your real name and your email address, and these stupid motherfuckers did so, right? And hanging around was a guy who seems to have been the John Mark, okay? And John Mark is the guy who snatched the clipboard with all the names and all the emails addresses, and within 2 days, he'd vanished off the whole fucking online scene. The fucking guy is gone. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. What the fuck you think happened, man? This motherfucker was some Fed, right? And he set up this op, gay as fuck. And he got all the names and all the email addresses of all the people who were good little proprietarians, or whatever the fuck they call themselves, right? And proprietarianism, by the way, it's an insane philosophy. Whatever I understood of it, man, it's just fucking insane. It doesn't make any fucking sense at all. But it was founded on the premise that there would be a violent overthrow of the constitutional order in the United States. Yeah, motherfucker. Yeah. And that shit was on Facebook. Huh? And whether Kurt Doolittle is a Fed or not, I don't know. I personally don't think so. I think he's just a broken man. I mean, clearly a man who suffered some sort of psychological break, a serious psychological break. And I think that he might be being manipulated or used by federal law enforcement officials. But that's speculative on my part. But what I do know is that this guy, John Mark, vanished from the scene. Keith Woods, you should check out his channel. Keith Woods, he did a really good video about this whole episode. It's really fucking funny. And with pictures of Kurt Doolittle pissing and video of him just basically admitting, you know, that this black guy from Black Guys Matter had like a bigger cock than he did and all white men did. It was just fucking embarrassing. I'm not kidding. You gotta go and check it out because it's really fucking funny. Keith Woods' video. Anyway, the point I wanna make here in this video, see, you've got people who are alleged audience members who are Feds, and you even have people who are alleged content creators who are clearly Feds or in bed with the Feds. The thing is, you gotta understand, you gotta know who your Feds are. Yeah, as of last 3 months or so, I have to say that there's been this uptick of people who've reached out to me that I can smell a mile away are law enforcement. Yeah, because see, being online, I've had this channel for what, 4 years, and I've really been fairly large since mid-2018, right? And the thing is, see, you get a lot of fan mail, yeah, and it's delightful. It's, you know, 99% of the fan mail I get is just delightful and very much welcome. It's frankly so much that I can't reply to all of it, but it is greatly appreciated. And because I get so much fan mail, I usually get a sense of what's on the mind of the person sending me the missive. Yeah, there are some guys who are just thankful for the content that I create, that it's actually helped them, and they're just sending me a thank you note, and that's the kind of message I most enjoy, okay? Because that's just incredibly flattering and incredibly fulfilling. The second kind is the guy who's fairly lonely, and he's trying to reach out to me because he doesn't have many people in his life. And he doesn't have many people in his life, and he probably watches a lot of my content. I occupy a lot of his brain space. And so he sends me a missive, a little note, a little something, and he just wants a little attention because he's not getting much in his real life. And that really breaks my heart, and I get a lot of those. And I can tell right away that there's no bad intention. On the contrary, they're just lonely and a little bit sad. Then the third category are guys who, and it's a smaller category, who have thought really deeply about different subjects, and they sent me their conclusions in these very, very long emails. And these very long emails, you know, they want to explain their life philosophy because, again, they don't have anybody in their lives with whom to share their life philosophies. And all those categories and a few other minor categories, you know, I can spot them really quickly just by function or by virtue of me having received so many fan mail, so much fan mail. And so that's why it's so easy for me to spot the Fed. Yeah, because the Fed is always just like really, really nice, but he's really kind of encouraging me or opening the door for me to encourage violence or to encourage some sort of law breaking. And that's the common denominator. That's how you know they're a Fed. They're encouraging you to break the law. They're saying, wouldn't it be great, if we had a revolution or some shit like that. And the thing is, see, it's easy to spot because of that. Because, see, a guy who's writing me a fan letter, he's just showing his appreciation for the content that has positively affected his life. But an email that I get where a guy is saying, yeah, I totally agree with everything, and I am getting more guns because I think that there's going to be a revolution, and I think that we should be proactively defending our communities. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? What is this proactive defense? Proactive defense, there's a term in the military called forward defense, which basically means aggression. This fucker, sometimes his terms are slipping. Military terms, right? Now, I don't know if these cocksuckers are ex-military or not. What I do know is that they're really fucking transparent. Yeah, they're trying to get me to break the law. Like this DHS agent that I caught back in the day, who kept insisting that I give him financial advice, and tell him which stocks to pick and shit like that. Trying to egg me on into crossing that legal line and potentially entrap me, potentially get me into a shit ton of trouble. Yeah, that's happened. It's happened in the past, back when I had that blog, and it's happening now. And as of late, as of the last 3 months, it's been happening a lot more. I know of 3 people who have gotten in touch with me. One woman and 2 men. And I know that they're law enforcement. Because it just doesn't, it doesn't pass the smell test, I just know it. And you can say that I'm paranoid or this or that. Oh, fine. But, I know what I know. And the thing is, see, I have to emphasize this. You get enough emails and messages and DMs from fans, from people who watch your content, and you can tell who they are. You get a really good sense of them in just a few lines. You can tell their motivation. And that's how I know. Right now, I've got 3 fans who are law enforcement or feds or whatever the fuck, Department of Homeland Security or FBI, I don't know who. And these 3 fuckers, they are all encouraging me to, to declare revolution. Now, why am I telling you this? Real simple. See, it's not only that I'm getting this kind of shit, my followers are getting this kind of shit. Like, I also run a Telegram channel. Link is in the description below. And on the Telegram channel, there's a lot more interaction between fans, right? Because on YouTube, you can interact with other people, but only in the comments section. And because of it, it's a fairly stilted conversation. And it's not smooth, and it's not easy to interact directly with other viewers of a particular YouTube channel, which is unfortunate. But on Telegram, it's very easy to start to interact with other fans of a particular Telegram channel. It's very easy for you to bump into somebody who follows me, for instance. You guys hit it off, and all of a sudden you're private DMing and having a private conversation of your own, right? Yeah. On the Telegram channel, I've noticed that there were in fact 3 people that were pretty clearly feds, because they were just encouraging violence. They were encouraging it in a big way. And the other people noticed it too. And so that's why I'm doing this video that you're watching right now. I'm telling you right now, if you ever interact with another fan of mine, and he or she is encouraging you into violence, know that the guy's a Fed. Know that they're trying to fuck you over. You think I'm being paranoid or this and that? It's perfectly fine. You can think whatever you want of me. I don't care. And it's not really going to affect me. But I just want to put it out there. I mean, I want to put it out there so that, later, nobody can come at me and say, Coach, you didn't tell us, oh, now I'm in trouble and I'm going to Fort Leavenworth for 50 fucking years. I told you. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you, and this is happening, man. Anybody who is encouraging any kind of violence, you gotta realize that this fucker is more likely than not a Fed. Yeah, because everybody who's on the dissident side realizes that encouraging violence is the quickest way into the slammer. It's what they want. Yeah, the Biden administration keeps talking about civil war. The Biden administration, the fucking government, the White House, they are talking about openly about civil war. It's almost as if they're encouraging it. It's almost as if they are creating the conditions where the first incidents of violence, they can say, see, that's the start of the Civil War. We have to crack down. We have to crack down on all these white supremacists. They're talking about white supremacy, and everybody knows that white supremacy is just infiltrated up to the gills by the fucking FBI. I mean, like this stupid plot to kidnap some governor, right? And it turned out that a dozen of the plotters were government informants. It was a government op, right? And like 2-3 people got mixed up in this bullshit, and they're gonna go to jail for the rest of their lives, right? Yeah, the government is looking for this. They're looking for scapegoats. They are looking for white nationalist terrorists, domestic terrorists, so they can justify the totalitarian crackdown they want to impose. So I'm telling you, my American viewers, right? Unless you know somebody personally, unless you know them personally and like know where they live and know their family and know them, if anybody is encouraging you to any kind of violence, automatically assume it's a Fed, that they're trying to entrap you, and you can get into a lot of trouble. And what you have to do is just point to them and say, hey, look, that guy looks to me like a fucking Fed. Point to them. That's all you can do at this time. I mean, I think that the situation in the United States is going to deteriorate, and quite frankly, I think that South Africa is the template, the model. Look at what's happening in South Africa right now, and I do believe that that's going to be America in certainly after the 2022 election. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, we're a lot closer to, the United States is a lot closer to South Africa than people realize. And we already got a taste of it in the summer of 2020. And after the 2022 election, which is going to be completely corrupt, we're going to see a lot more of this shit, okay? And so right now, the proto-totalitarian regime that's in the White House is laying down the groundwork. And they are trying to entrap people. And you don't have to believe me. I mean, if you believe me, great. If you don't believe me, that's fine, but just keep an open mind. Look at what's going on. Look at what's happening and the moves that are going on. Pay attention, okay? Because the United States is, it's not merely sliding into totalitarianism, man. It's diving into it head first. It's going full totalitarian. I mean, I'm talking, Soviet Union, National Socialist, Chinese Communist during the bad old days of Mao totalitarian. I'm talking full on, motherfucker. It's heading in that direction. And so you got to be careful. Be careful. Keep your eyes wide open and your mouth firmly shut. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please check out my Patreon channel. Link is in the description below. I put out an extra video every Wednesday, and I also do a weekly webinar, which is a call-in show. I do it every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. So please check it out. Thank you so much, and I will catch you next time.